Hey guys, okay, I hope you liked my last video. I had a couple of people ask me, well, what is leaky gut? What is the microbiome? Why is it important? So I'm going to talk a little bit today about the microbiome and just how it works. Okay, so first of all, let's define what is our gut. So you're probably thinking, well, my gut is my stomach, and it gets kind of bloated after I eat sometimes, things like that. Well, when I think of the gut, I'm actually thinking everything from the mouth and the nasal cavity, like the nasal passages, all the way down to the other end. So that includes like your oral cavity, nasal cavity, throat, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, even the appendix, and then the rectum, and then the other end, okay? So that's what I define as the gut. And so when I'm evaluating someone and looking at someone's microbiome, right, because you've probably heard about the microbiome, we need a good and strong microbiome to be healthy. Like you've probably heard 80% of the immune system comes from the gut. Well, that is actually from the microbiome, right? So just like a couple of examples why the microbiome is so important. We actually have an oral microbiome. So we have a type of bacterial population living in our mouth. And when that is a bad type of population or when it's disrupted, that's when people start to get cavities. So I'll explain a little bit more about how that works. It's with something called competitive inhibition. So this is a term in physiology that we use that basically describes, well, I'll just use an example. So I want you to think, sorry, there's a truck, but I want you to think about your gut and anywhere where bacteria live as basically like this huge bustling city with tons of apartments, right? And we have all of these, and our body is a good landlord. It owns all of the apartments and it wants really good renters. It wants really good people to lease the apartments, okay? And it wants them to pay their rent on time, benefit the landlord, whatever. We call these good leasers or good tenants beneficial bacteria. And so they're taking up each little apartment we have in all of our types of microbiomes, whether that's our nasal microbiome, whether it's our oral microbiome, our gut microbiome, or even our bladder microbiome. So not a lot of people talk about the bladder microbiome, but it's important too. Anyways, so when we're born, if we're delivered through, like normally, through vaginally, we actually absorb a lot of beneficial bacteria from passing through the proper tissues, okay? And so that immediately we get a jump start to our city that we're trying to build and to our immune system. And so then we get all of these tenants that are living in there and they multiply and they have kids and whatever. It's like a really prosperous little city. But what can happen, say baby has an ear infection. Most ear infections are viral, actually. But the baby is probably, the mom's desperate. The parents are like, the baby won't stop crying. Can you please help me? So the pediatrician writes a prescription for an antibiotic. What this means in our little illustration is basically the doctor gives your body, gives your parents or whatever, here's a nuclear bomb to bomb your entire apartment complex that you have in your body, right? So all of our beneficial bacteria are now, there's a big mushroom cloud, they're all gone, and it's pretty much a wasteland, right? Excuse me. So now we just have all of these empty apartments, and we've destroyed our immune system that we were given by our mother, and we kind of have to start over, right? Unfortunately, what happens is bad bacteria then move into these apartments, or something like yeast. A lot of people get yeast infections or have like a candida problem or get oral thrush after they take an antibiotic. So that's kind of the importance of the microbiome. And when we don't have a proper microbiome or when we don't have good tenants, they're not giving us the vitamins, the immune support, all the different type of networking that they do that our body so needs. So that's the microbiome and why it's important. And I'll talk about leaky gut and how that happens in my next video.